Hi everyone, I'm Dr. John Douillard, and today I want to talk to you about washing your hands and how viruses can spread so insidiously around an office. Dr. Charles Gerba from the University of Arizona, he did a study where he actually gave 80 volunteers who worked in an office, and 79 of them got a drop of water on their hand, and one of them got a drop of an artificial virus on their hand. And in just 4 hours, 50% of the people in the office and 50% of all the surfaces on the office were infected with that artificial virus, which is crazy. Within 8 hours, 70% of all the people and 70% of all the surfaces in the office were infected, which is sort of crazy. And then in the same study, he actually gave the 79 people a disinfectant wipe where they clean their hands before and after meals and after meetings with large groups of people. And the infection rate of the 79 people went down from 70% after 8 hours of that exposure to just 10%. And he made it very clear that he used disinfectant wipes versus antibacterial wipes because the antibacterial wipes, in his mind, says they don't work. So his suggestion is to make sure you use disinfectant wipes like Clorox, alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, well, those are the three: Clorox, alcohol, and hydrogen peroxide. And he says those things literally blow the germ up, which is pretty crazy, right? So just a little insight into how insidious and how quickly these viruses spread throughout an office. In another study that he performed, he actually put an artificial virus on the push plate of a door, where you push a door open to get through that door, like a open closed door. You push always on that one silver metal plate, and he found that within just 2 hours, that artificial virus was actually contaminated the break room, the coffee pot, the microwave, the refrigerator, the office cubicles, the phone desks, and the computer. Within 4 hours, 50% of all surfaces and 50% of all employees' hands were contaminated. Dr. Gerber says that 80% of all infections come from hand-to-hand contact or just touching things with our hands. So there's, in this particular virus, the coronavirus supposedly has a very thin one-cell lipid layer, with just regular soap supposedly will break it down. But to be on the safe side, Dr. Gerber says in general you always want to use these more powerful disinfectants. But clearly just washing your hands is going to be really important. And he did a study on that, and he found that the children touch their nose and their mouth 50 times per hour, and adults do it 16 times per hour. And adults can touch up to 30 objects in just 60 seconds, which is a crazy amount of things to touch in just 60 seconds. He also found that a virus on a TV remote, for example, like in a hotel room, can last up to 72 hours. So clearly, you walk in a hotel room, that remote probably was touched within that 72 hours. So go in there and start cleaning surfaces for sure before you settle in, that's for sure. He actually did another study and found that 67% rather 60% of the population washed their hands after, 67% of the population washed their hands when they use a public bathroom. So a significant number of folks don't. 33% of those folks who do wash their hands, only 33% use soap, which is not going to really work when you just wash your hands with water. And 16% of those folks who do wash their hands don't wash their hands good enough to get rid of the hitchhikers that they take with them after leaving a bathroom or a public restroom, which is, again, pretty crazy. So that's really important. And then, so the point here is, everybody's saying it, but I just thought that research about how insidious and how infectious these viruses spread, how quickly they do, put a little more effort into washing your hands and doing it well, which is really, really, really important. And then the question is whether the masks work or not. We hear the masks work, the masks don't work. So I dug into some of the science, and there's some studies that show that the masks well, let me tell you the studies. In one study, 32 healthcare workers, they found no difference with infection rates with or without a mask. So that was interesting. The N95 respirators are the ones that are recommended for the coronavirus. They're the most effective. And in a Canadian study with 422 healthcare workers, they measured the benefit of the N95 respirator with a medical mask, which is typically used in a hospital. And they found that the flu infection rate for both of those groups was 25%. So that was the rate. Now they didn't compare what no mask would have done in that particular study, but the N95 mask respirator and the regular medical mask was 25% of the folks actually got infected. So I don't think that's a really good number. The one thing that you do want to be aware of is the cloth masks, the ones that are just made of cloth. They actually compared those to medical masks, and the cloth masks actually increase the rate of infection. So you really want to be careful. You're not just going and buying some cheap cloth mask, because what happens is the droplets that you breathe on, they actually stick to the cloth mask, and they create the infection as a place to kind of brew and breed and become stronger or multiply, there very, very quickly. So that causes the infection to actually multiply or increases the risk of infection. So that's something also important. So if you're going to use a mask, a medical mask or an N95 respirator will actually work to some extent, although there are studies that say that that with or without the mask, it's about the same. So I think that's part of this confusion this go around, is nobody really knows the right answer, the one right answer for sure. Clearly, wash your hands, do it really well. Go around your office, wash your surfaces with a disinfectant to make sure that's really clean, and that would be a really good habit to get into as well. I recently, just a couple of days ago, posted an article on all the ways that we can boost our immunity with circadian medicine resets and how to do that. All the herbs that I use with my patients for all these years, preventatively, and then what happens as part of your first defense. I wrote an article with all the details of how and what you would do to prevent and support yourself in the first defense of an immune event. Which I think is really valuable. So check out that article and video as well. And then check out the article here where I talk about all this crazy science about how quickly these viruses can spread, how important it is to wash your hands, and how to actually wash your hands, and the information, the research on the masks as well. You can read those studies as well at lifespa.com. Just go. These two should be right on the top of the homepage, and you'll see them right there. Okay, thanks for listening. I'm Dr. John Douillard. Do you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe and share.
This recording is brought to you by LifeSpa, where ancient Ayurvedic wisdom meets modern science. Get access to free health video newsletters by Dr. John at lifespa.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.